The gun barrel pressed against Martha Cole's spine was still warm from the last man it killed. She didn't scream. Didn't beg. Just stood there in her empty kitchen, a wooden spoon trembling in her hand while the stranger's ragged breath brushed the back of her neck. Outside, the Wyoming wind howled like a dying animal. Inside, silence. Except for the slow drip of blood on her clean floor. "Don't turn around," he said. His voice cracked not with cruelty, but exhaustion. "And don't scream or I'll." He never finished the threat. Because when Martha finally spoke, her voice was steady as stone. "You're bleeding on my floor." She'd lived alone in that cabin for 5 years. 5 years since her husband died in the mines. 5 years of empty beds and colder nights. And now, on a February evening in 1883, an outlaw with a bullet wound had stumbled into her life gun first. His name was Elias Ward. 29 years old. Wanted in 3 territories. $800 on his head, dead or alive. But Martha didn't know that yet. All she knew was the weight of his Colt against her back, the tremor in his hand, and the smell of gunpowder and winter clinging to his clothes. When he finally let her turn around, she saw him clearly for the first time. Young. Filthy. Eyes dark with pain and something else. Fear, maybe. Or shame. The wound in his shoulder was bad. Not fatal, but close. "Sit," Martha said. He blinked. "What?" "Sit down before you fall down. You want to die standing in a stranger's kitchen?" He hesitated, then his knees gave out. The gun clattered to the floor. Neither of them reached for it. Martha moved without thinking. Heated water. Found the whiskey Thomas had hidden in the cupboard, untouched since he died. Tore clean linen into strips. Her hands were quick, steady. She'd sewn up a horse's leg once. A man couldn't be that different. When she poured whiskey over the wound, Elias bit down on his fist to keep from screaming. His body went rigid, sweat beading on his brow. And Martha felt something stir inside her she thought had long since died. Not pity. Recognition. This man was alone just like her. "Why are you helping me?" Elias gasped. Martha threaded the needle. "I don't know." But she did know. She just couldn't say it yet. Elias stayed in the shed behind the house. Small. Cold. Still haunted by the ghost of Thomas Cole. Martha brought him food, changed his bandages, asked no questions. For 2 days, they barely spoke. By the 3rd morning, she found him trying to stand. "What are you doing?" "Need to check my horse." "Your horse is fine. Sit down before you tear those stitches." "I'm not used to being helpless." "Neither am I," she said. "But sometimes we don't get a choice." He looked at her, then really looked. At the lines around her eyes, the gray in her hair, the quiet strength of a woman who'd learned not to expect anything from the world. "How long since your husband died?" 5 years. "You never remarried?" Martha laughed, bitter and soft. "Who'd have me? A childless widow with a failing ranch and a reputation for being difficult." She poured him coffee. "Besides, I wasn't interested." He didn't push. But the question hung there, heavy and unsaid. By the 4th day, Elias was walking again. Martha found him brushing down his mare, his movements careful, favoring his bad arm. "She's beautiful," Martha said from the doorway. "Saved up 3 months' wages for her," Elias replied. "Only thing in this world that's mine." Martha understood that the hunger to hold something that couldn't be taken away. "What was your life like before?" "Before I killed a man?" Elias's smile was rueful. "Nothing special. Cattle drives. Horses. Sleeping under the stars. Never good at staying anywhere too long." "Why not?" "No place wanted me to stay." Martha felt that truth like a punch to the chest. She knew what it meant to be tolerated, not wanted. Her husband Thomas had been a decent man but never truly hers. "Tell me about him," Elias said quietly. She hesitated. No one had asked in years. He was steady. Reliable. Worked in the mines. Came home every night smelling of sulfur and rock dust. Not cruel. Just gone. Even when he was right there. "Did you love him?" "I thought I did. Or maybe I just loved not being alone." She looked down. But when he died, I realized I'd been alone all along. That's the worst kind, Elias murmured. Being with someone and still feeling alone. Their eyes met, and in that moment, she saw it. The same emptiness she carried reflected in his face. Days passed. The snow deepened. Sheriff Silas Tate's visits came up in conversation. He comes around sometimes, Martha said carefully. Checking on me. Making sure I'm safe. Elias caught the tightness in her jaw. He bothers you. Thomas owed him $40. Tate thinks I should settle the debt another way. Elias's hands clenched. His touched you. Almost. I keep my rifle close when he visits. I'm not helpless. Just tired of being afraid in my own home. If he comes while I'm here. You'll do nothing, Martha interrupted. You shoot a lawman, and you'll hang. I won't have that on my conscience. But Elias didn't agree. And they both knew it. 2 bounty hunters came the next afternoon. Hard-eyed men, hands never far from their triggers. We're looking for an outlaw. Wounded. Brown mare. You seen anyone? Martha's heart pounded. Her voice didn't waver. Just me and the chickens. You mind if we look around? I mind a lot. You got a warrant? No, Then you got nothing but the road back to town. From the shed, Elias watched through a crack in the wall. Hand on his Colt. Finger on the trigger. 2 men. 2 shots. He could do it. But Martha didn't give him the word. After a long moment, the men spat in the dirt and rode off. When she reached the shed, Elias was still holding the gun. You could have turned me in, he said. $800 is a lot of money. I could have. Why didn't you? She met his eyes. Because I know what it's like to be hunted. You ever killed a man? He asked softly. No, she said. But I've wanted to. That honesty hung between them, raw and electric. That night, when she changed his bandage, her fingers lingered. His hand caught hers. You're healing well, she whispered. Thanks to you. She should have pulled away. She didn't. How long you been alone? He asked. 5 years. Me too. My whole life. Outside, the wind screamed. Inside, something warm began to grow. I'll be gone soon, Elias said quietly. I know. You want me to go? Martha looked at him, the man who'd broken into her life, who'd looked at her like she was more than her grief. No, she whispered. I don't. And that single word changed everything. When Sheriff Tate came days later drunk, swaggering, reeking of whiskey, Martha tried to send him away. He wouldn't go. He grabbed her by the collar, snarling. You think you're too good for me? The shed door slammed open. Elias stood there, Colt raised, eyes cold as winter. She said, get out. Tate spun, hand going for his gun. The shot echoed through the valley. And when the smoke cleared, Sheriff Silas Tate was dead on Martha's porch. They buried him that night. No words. Just shovels, dirt, and silence. Back at the house, Elias packed his thul bag. You're leaving, Martha said. I have to. When they find Tate's horse, they'll come here. If I'm gone, you can say I forced you. Say you were scared. I know the story, she whispered. He looked at her, then really looked, and the apology in his eyes cut deeper than the wound ever had. I'm sorry. Don't be. They didn't sleep that night. Sat by the fire, shoulders touching, faces lit by gold and shadow. If there was another way, he began. There isn't, she said. This world doesn't make room for people like us. I'll remember you, he said softly. I know. And then she kissed him, desperate, aching, alive. Elias rode out before sunrise. Martha stood on the porch in her nightgown, watching him disappear into the mist. She didn't cry until he was gone. A year later, February 1884, Martha received a letter. No return address. No postmark. Just her name in rough handwriting. Martha. I made it to Mexico. Got a small spread in the Sonora Highlands. No law here. No bounty hunters. Just quiet. I think about you every day, about that cabin, that night by the fire. The money enclosed is honest. There'll be more. If you ever want to leave that place, Ask for Samuel Carter in San Miguel de Hawkes. That's the name I use now. I don't dare hope you'll come. But if you do, I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you're never alone again. The man who remembers you. E.W. Martha read the letter 3 times. Then again. Tears smudged the ink. She took off her wedding ring and set it on the table. The gold gleamed faintly in the morning light. Her past. Her prison. She turned toward the open door. The wind tugged at her hair as she looked south toward the mountains, toward a man waiting under another name. For 5 years, she'd been a ghost. Now, at last, she had a choice. Would she stay with her grief? Or ride toward the chance to live again?